This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
It is Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Want to get into some leadership for you this morning. Hope that you're having an amazing day whenever you listen to this. One of the things that I think is important when we look at business, and I like to look at the military. You know, everybody knows I was in the Marine Corps. If you followed me for a while on here. And so I read a lot of leadership manuals. And a lot of them are free online that you can get. But one of the things that you can really notice when you look at leadership in the military is, you know, they may be over systematized, everything, but you have to realize they're taking college and high school kids, giving them millions of dollars worth of equipment to be in charge of, and they have to train that. So when you take a 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, or you take a young officer, 24, 25, 26-year-old, and you're putting them with that much responsibility. I can remember in the Marine Corps looking at an E5 sergeant that may be in charge of 8 helicopters. How many millions and millions of dollars are those? You know, so when you look at the job that they do, they don't have a choice to be able to pick. And I mean, they can do some recruiting, but still they're coming out of high school or they're coming out of college. They don't have somebody where they can say, oh, I need 5 or 10 years of experience. It doesn't work that way. So I love their systems. I love the way that they display leadership. I love the way that they train, and they consistently train constantly. And you should be training. You should be doing training. If not every day, you should be having set times that are written in the annuals of your business minutes that you are going to do training. Training has to be done consistently. And you don't have to do it all the time. You can have other people do it, but you need to make it needs to be a priority. And you can have a room where everybody's sitting around in a little circle. And then you pick an issue that's happening in your business. And then you guys go over and talk about it. That's what I'm talking about, training, and then coming up with the solution on it. Those meetings are so important. And I mention them all the time because I want to get in your head. Having those meetings are dumb, but training is important. Big difference. Training accomplishes something. Meetings, you're just sitting there freaking going on and on about stupid shit. I hate meetings. I hate when there's nothing. Somebody has a PowerPoint and then they're going over theory. It's like, I always say, how are we going to execute on that? Yeah, I mean, that sounds, you spent how many days to make your PowerPoint absolutely perfect when we just need to execute? It could have been very simple. We could have all sat in a room together, gone over your plan. Everybody get tasks of how to accomplish it, and then have moved forward. And the theory part should be done by you as a leader anyways. But let's move on. I don't want to get into that. I want to get into this common threads of the leadership manuals that I have read in the military. I think number one is trust. This is a fundamental element in leadership. You, whether you're commanding troops or you're commanding an organization, you set the ethical climate, and trust is that red thread that runs through it all. If you don't have trust, if you have this passive aggressive backstabbing political bullshit that either you've created or someone in your organization's created, and no one can feel like they're safe. That's a key word, especially now with everything going on. That was one of the things that I pushed as a leader is for my employees is that I want this to be a fun, safe place during this crisis. We're going to work our asses off. We're going to have a lot of fun because you can still do that. We can still have fun, guys. I've seen pictures in World War II and stuff like that in World War I in the trenches and guys, taking pictures, which was absolutely horrific. If you read about World War I trench warfare, you'll never be the same person. And then you would see them smiling or joking around. We can have fun. We can have sarcasm. It's a great way to get to know each other and be more intimate mentally. I think it's important that we get the idea that there is a trust climate. And it could either be a fog of distrust, or you can have that sun that's shining in ultimate trust. What does your organization look like with trust? Next is discipline and self-control. A disciplined leader maintains composure in difficult or stressful situations. They do not have emotional outbursts, or they do not act impulsively. They do not allow personal emotions to drive decisions or guide responses in stressful situations. So let's break this down. Discipline and self-control. So I think they're two different things. Discipline is to me, is what you do daily, even when you don't want to do it, is you've disciplined yourself. You have a morning routine, you have an afternoon routine, you have an evening routine. And these are the things that you do daily. Your brain loves routine. It absolutely loves routine. You should get a routine together. Yeah, you can deviate from it occasionally, but those basic things to keep you healthy, wealthy, and wise, that's what it's an old statement, but look at the things. You should have a daily routine of things that keep you healthy, a daily routine of things that make you wealthy, and a daily routine of how you gain wisdom. That's discipline, doing the things. Self-control is being self-aware enough to understand the emotion that comes inside of you and then how you're going to react. Reactive and proactive are huge, guys. Some of you start off in the morning and you wake up late and you're getting out of bed and you're reacting to time. So you get out of bed, you rush, you're doing like whatever you need to do to try to get done as quickly as possible. And then, you're grab something. You're like, oh, I didn't make lunch. Reacting, poor planning, didn't make your lunch. So I'll just get something. I'll do Uber Eats or whatever, expensive, waste of money. And then next, what are you doing? Rushing out the door, rushing in traffic. I watched a lady the other day going 75 miles an hour on the freeway, putting makeup on. I was like, this is impossible. This is just, how are you looking in the mirror, not looking straight ahead, going 75 miles an hour? That's crazy. So you're waking up, you're already in a reactive mode. You're already fighting time, which is the stupidest thing to fight because you can't fight time. You're going to lose every time, which you do. And then you get to work as a leader and you expect to be proactive. You expect that switch to happen. You expect all your weaknesses in your personal life not to transfer in those 8, 10, 12 hours that you're at work. It does. It transfers over. That's where discipline and self-control come in hand, and being proactive. What if you got up in the morning and you had a morning routine? What if you got up in the morning, you had your fruit smoothie that you'd made the night before? You drink that. I have that, and I have different supplements and stuff like that. Then I have a journal, and I go in and it asks me certain questions. I have the high performance journal, and I've done a whole episode on that. You can go back and look at that. It's High Performance Habits is a book. There's a journal that goes along with it. It's amazing, and asks you self-awareness questions. This only takes 15, 20 minutes, guys. 15, 20 minutes to do this. I outline my schedule in the book. It has it. It's real big. It's nice. So, and it's inexpensive. So that's awesome. And I outline my whole schedule for what I'm going to do in the day. It asks me these certain questions. It makes me think. It makes me be proactive. And it makes me be self-aware with these questions. And then from there, after I look at that, then I go and I shower. Maybe I'll do some stretching depending on the time that I have. Maybe I go outside and get some fresh air and go for a walk or go for a run. Maybe depending on time, but I already have everything all set up. Or maybe I go outside and I drink a cup of coffee and I read a little bit. But I always give myself this little buffer in the morning, so I'm being proactive. So I know what I'm doing. This morning, I'm going to go work out at the gym. But yesterday, I went and ran in the morning. And then when I go to work, guess what happens? Now I've accomplished quite a bit. I've been proactive. Now I can address the leadership issues that are facing, and I can be proactive with those. So I'm not running in, rushing in with this attitude of being reactive. And then now I have 8 people standing at my door that all need something, and I'm going to react to all them. And then I'm going to be tired, burn out, eat bad food, come home, and then I'm going to react to my wife and my partner, my husband, my kids, whatever it may be. And then I'm going to drink some alcohol, and then I'm going to go to bed. That's most people's life. And you're going to react till you die, and you'll have never gained control, and you'll be fighting everything. And that's what leads to depression. That's what leads to mental illness. Over years and years and years of you being this way, it causes a breakdown. Your brain cannot handle it. Your body cannot handle it, and your soul cannot handle it. So you think that you can easily survive this way, but you're not surviving. You're tearing the number one thing that's most important to you. And that's this meat suit, that's your soul, and that's this brain. And it also hurts everyone around you by you being reactive. So discipline and self-control, how you respond, how those decisions that you make. There's a book called Crucial Conversations, talked about it before. If you want to know how to make proper decisions in emotionally charged time, Crucial Conversations. It's a great book. It's red and white. You'll see that. Next is judgment and critical thinking. Now, judgment and critical thinking, this is high level shit right here. You have to have the ability to discriminate, assess, plan, decide, prioritize, compare. And then you have to look at, and this is something that I try to focus on when I make a decision, is what are the consequences of the decision? What are the consequences of the decision? What do I feel are the consequences of the decision? And then I do this. I'll pull people in that I trust, and hopefully you've developed this core competency of trust in your business. You pull these people in that you trust, and you say, I'm fixing to make this decision. What do you think the consequences of that decision is? Let's all be honest. I want us to agree and make this decision together. So do you feel like you have the ability to help me with this? Do you feel like you have the ability to have a different viewpoint on this? What are you feeling that you could give to me to bring value to the decision that I'm going to make? And I want us to talk about it. And then afterwards, let's have a consensus and see if you think I'm right or not. I would love for you to prove me wrong. I tell people that all the time. I would love for you to prove me wrong and you save the safety of this organization, but I'm feeling this decision should be in this direction. And qualified people can give you wise counsel. Maybe you have a mentor or somebody that you can talk to. That is important too. However you can get where you can understand critical thinking, and you can study. There's a lot of books on this, but it helps to be able to break down the process. And then self-awareness, knowing yourself. What are the traits? What are you weak? What's your strengths? How do you get emotionally charged? What are those feelings? When do you unfairly blame people? What failures have you experienced that causes you to be jaded? There's a ton of self-awareness questions. And I talk about this all the time. This is the theme of my podcast. This is, know thyself. This is something that I have been working on personally for years. Self-awareness is kind of my thing. So I have a ton of books on it. I encourage you to get those. You could, Growth Mindset, I think, is one that is probably by Drucker, is her last name. Is probably one of the fundamental books that you can start off with on that. But knowing yourself, knowing those emotions, knowing those feelings, knowing the traits, knowing the strengths and weaknesses that you have. There's lots of tests you can take online that'll help you with that. And then next is empathy. Demonstrating an understanding of the points of views of others. And then having genuine concern for others. Empathy plays out in leadership this way. And I'll do a scenario here. Susan, I can tell that here lately, something's been distracting you. And it's concerning me. It's actually emotionally concerning me. And I want to be able to help you fix this, but I don't know what it is. And you don't have to tell me if you're not comfortable. You don't have to tell me what it is, but I want to offer this. Here's empathy, guys. Can you take 2 or 3 days off and get this handled and then come back and be the Susan that I know that you can be? Do you need longer than 2 or 3 days? No, 2 or 3 days is good. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay you for the 2 or 3 days. I want you to go and I want you to clear your mind. I want you to come back. I want you to walk into my office and say, I'm good to go. And then we're going to go at 110%. That's empathy, guys. That's you're doing something above and beyond. You're giving somebody 2 or 3 days off. You're allowing that they're going to focus. They're going to become self-aware because they're going to be like, wow, I'm getting paid for this. If they're a good person, they're going to be extremely appreciative of this. They're going to rest. They're going to do whatever they need to do. They're going to come back and they're going to walk in your office and they're going to say, I'm good to go. And you're going to say, good. That's you practicing empathy. That's just one way. There's so many different ways that you can sit someone down. That's why coaching is so important. If you're not coaching your leaders, if you're not coaching your subordinates, if you're not spending every day and every week coaching, you're missing out on the number one thing. Cut all your advertising off and just do coaching and watch what happens. I've done that. I've told somebody, I say, oh, you're spending $30,000 a month on advertising? Let's take that and spend that into a coaching program and see what happens. Sure enough, ROI through the roof, productivity through the roof. When you do proper coaching, you create happiness, you create stability, you create little leaders, and they will be proactive. Keyword, they will be proactive. They will begin to work on personal development and self-improvement. You will see a shift that will amaze you and humble you. And you will see the potential of your people rise. What if you think on a 1 to 10, let's say your business is at a 6 now. What if your business went to an 8? What would that look like? Great self-aware question. I think these things, trust, discipline, self-control, judgment, critical thinking, self-awareness, and empathy, are the keys to leadership. I think right now, especially with everything that's going on with the complexity of the United States in this world and what we have going on with the pandemic and then the division, we don't need this in our organization. You need to have that conversation, guys. You need to sit down. You need to take your employees, sit them all down and have a meeting and say this. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care what you are. Here's core values of what we believe. We believe everyone's a human and that everyone has rights. And you have the right to believe what you want to believe. But the minute that it infringes on somebody's free will, the minute that it infringes on someone else, then I don't want you to be an employee here. If you have any form of ill will towards another human, then I don't want you working here. We love each other. We care for each other. We put others first. We practice servant leadership. That's what we do here. And all the stuff that's in the world right now, all this garbage that's going on and people hating each other, that doesn't belong here. This is a safe place for you to work, and I hope that you feel that you can flourish here and that you can live an amazing life here. And that's what I want to display to you as a leader. And if there is a leader in this organization, you're telling your employees this, if there's a leader in this organization that you don't feel safe with, that puts you down, that you feel doesn't love you like they should, you let me know because I'll have a conversation with them. Because that's what I believe in each and every one of you. And I want each and every one of you to come through this and have great self-awareness. I want each and every one of you to be stronger. Every crisis is an opportunity for us to be stronger. And I want this organization, this business to be stronger. And how can we do that if all we're doing is fighting and we don't like each other? So it's time for me as a leader to step up, and I'm going to do that, and you're going to watch me because I believe respect is earned, and I want to earn that for you. And you're going to see these leaders. I'll be coaching them. We're going to be going through a process, and you're going to see these leaders change. And I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to watch us change. And then as we change, and as you see that, and as we earn the respect, then I want you to change. Watch what happens to your company. But most people don't like to have that conversation because they don't want to be vulnerable. But in that vulnerability creates trust. It creates self-awareness. It creates empathy. It creates discipline and self-control. It creates judgment and critical thinking. It does it all. So guys, I encourage you, Tuesday morning, let's get it. Let's do it. Let's be the leaders that we know that we should be.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share and go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.